English granting factory. Augustus Waters, The Fault in Our Stars. Good
Good
afternoon, parents, teachers, and fellow classmates.
Today, on this important occasion in our lives, we take time to remember what life was like for us from the lower school through the middle school years and finally when we moved up to the upper school. These were precious years which we will always look back to with fond memories. Our lower school years in COLF consisted mainly of playing in the classroom and outdoors, playing with blocks, sand, waters, and a variety of toys, playing by ourselves, our classmates, and our teachers. But it was through play that we learned how to count, read, write, and make friends. We loved playing the Bahay Kubo, which seemed so big at that time. The last time we went there, about 2 or 3 years ago, we could barely fit inside. It got us thinking, were we really that small before? During our lower school years, we argued over toys, play spaces, and friends. We argued about who had the best hairstyle or the best clothes. Some of us who were in the daycare could agree on one thing. A real afternoon nap was not fun. Times have changed. Since then, we no longer fit inside the Bahay Kubo. We are also thankful that our teachers require us to take a brief rest after lunch. It helps us reboot our brains, although play continues to be part of our lives even to this day. There are other things now that occupy our time.
Chinese garter, bangsak, and ice water were among our favorite outdoor games during the middle school years. There were also other crazes such as tek-dek, bakugan, and Yu-Gi-Oh! At that time, it was cool to pull out neat tricks with a tek-dek or to own a powerful set of cards. We played more word and number games that helped us become better with words and numbers, as well as better problem solvers and thinkers. Through it all, we learned to follow rules, play with schoolmates both younger and older than us, get up when we fall down, and fix problems that arise at play. This was also the time when the Harry Potter craze started. We remember the time when people went outside to find sticks to use as wands. We went all over the school with those wands, yelling out spells from Harry Potter such as Stupefy, Wingardium Leviosa, and Expelliarmus, and many more. Never mind if some people stared at us, wondering what we were doing. It was fun, and it was what mattered.
But life was certainly different when we moved up to upper school. There were new problems to solve, both in math and in our relationships with one another. We learned to withhold judgment about people and trust them a little more. That was not easy when we were in grade 5. And admittedly, we were a lot less careful with things we said about each other, but in time, and with lots of help from our teachers and parents, we learned to respect our differences and be more careful with what we say and do. It was also during the early years of upper school when we started wishing our parents would stop treating us like young children. We wanted our parents to trust us to do things by ourselves or go out with our friends every now and then. At first, we did not understand why it was difficult for them to let us be, but in time, we also understood that rules are there to stay and that our parents must continue to guide us and set limits even if we are now exploring the bigger world out there. We also learn to understand their feelings and accept that it is not easy for them to watch us grow up so fast.
Upper school had started out with boys and girls divided. There were also cliques among the girls that further divided us. There were a lot of misunderstandings, but at these times we were always encouraged to listen to each other and fix whatever problems we had with each other. And as we got to know and understand each other more, we eventually became good friends. Boys were drawn to each other by common interests and also started hanging out together. In time, we also discovered that it could actually be fun talking with boys about many things too. We began to spend more time talking, laughing, and joking around. We would not notice the passing of time. There were less of the teasing and more laughter shared among us. Eventually, we became real friends as well.
COLF, COLF helped us gain the right footing, especially during our transition years. The upper school years were challenging because there were many changes happening to us and with our relationships. For the most part, we learned through trial and error. Sometimes we made wrong choices that hurt people, and this would frustrate us. We sometimes cry and then we fail, but our teachers were always there for us to encourage us to get up when we fall. Many lessons were learned the hard way, but here we are in front of you, confident about what we have learned and ready to move on to the next chapter in our lives. As we move through each grade level, we learn to become more responsible and mature. We learn to balance our time and set priorities. There were more homework, tasks, and projects to do. There were deadlines to meet and responsibilities to fulfill. We often found ourselves wishing there were longer nap times and more free play. But despite all these changes, we still had a great time in school and had unforgettable moments. No matter how difficult the work was, we tried not to complain and just did our best. After all, we knew that the teachers assigned those tasks and projects because they believed we could do them. We truly appreciate their effort to get to know our individual strengths and abilities to provide us with tasks and projects that are best suited to our levels.
Our teachers also tried their best to help us learn about and understand the bigger world out there. Field trips were something we always looked forward to ever since we were in the lower school. It was probably because of the sense of adventure that we experienced or the chance to explore beyond the classroom and learn about people and places in a different way. Days before the trip, we would talk about it in class and prepare our trip charts. On the day itself, there were a lot of opportunities to explore and discover new things. We also had a great time interviewing people, from the vendors of the market to the local government officials of Bulacan. We learned about their work and what they did for the communities we were studying about. We also enjoyed visiting museums, which also enriched our learning. Back in school, we made projects and did tasks that documented what we had learned and proudly displayed them in our classrooms. Field trips made it possible for us to learn a lot, much more than whatever was in our science and social studies textbooks.
We are fortunate that COLF give us freedom that most schools do not give their students. In school, we are encouraged to express our own opinion and discover our own unique style of learning. We are given opportunities to discover our true potential and celebrate them. COLF has also given us the privilege to meet kind and amazing people who have helped us throughout our years in COLF. It is not just academics that are important in COLF. We are also taught how to value and show understanding towards them. We are able to experience not just the wonders of child-to-child relationships, but also adult-child relationships. In COLF, you are always surrounded with people who can become friends. Once you are in COLF, you can find a friend in no time. We are happy to have found and met a lot of kind and amazing people in our time.
There are a lot more stories to tell you, but just allow us to say before we end the speech that everything we have been through, whether they were good or bad, helped us in some way to get here. Were it not for the kind of support and guidance we received from COLF, we wouldn't be the kind of people we are now. We take a moment to thank our teachers who have been supportive all the way. We would also like to thank our ates, kuyas, and other school staff who were always there for us during those times when we had behaved inappropriately. We know this may sound a little cheesy, but believe us when we say that we could not have asked for better ones. You guys are the best. Thank you.
To our loved parents, we hope we made you proud tonight. Thank you for your undying love, patience, and the daily sacrifices you make for us. We want to hug you right now, but we can save that later after the ceremony.
And to our fellow graduates, classmates, and friends, can you believe we have gotten this far? Thank you, each and every one of you, for all the great times. We have made it through thick and thin, and through our highs and lows. And to quote Hazel Lancaster, I cannot tell you how thankful I am for a little infinity. I wouldn't trade it for the world.